All right, so today's segment, Tools for These Times, I'll be addressing compulsive behaviors, urges, and rewiring the automatic brain. So it's something that affects many more people than most realize. We're talking about compulsive behaviors. And importantly, when people hear the word addiction, many immediately think only about drugs or alcohol or gambling. But modern compulsive behavior can also include doom scrolling, porn addiction, constant crypto checking, compulsive shopping, social media refreshing, gaming loops, emotional dependency, or endlessly chasing dopamine hits to escape discomfort. And modern society increasingly trains people to react impulsively with immediate reward, immediate stimulation, immediate relief. And little by little, many people lose the ability to simply sit with discomfort, pause for a while, or allow emotions to pass naturally. So now of the most effective cognitive behavioral techniques that are being used for compulsive behavior is something called urge surfing. The name itself already explains a lot, but it's not important the name technically here. Um, the thing is because therapists discover something important, that is that cravings behave more like waves than permanent emergencies. So those urges behave in this way. First they rise, they peak, and eventually decline. But most compulsive behavior happens when people uh, because I mean most compulsive behavior happens because the brain interprets the urge as something as I must satisfy this immediately. And psychologically, that's where the automatic loop begins. And what urge surfing teaches is this, that an urge is not an order. And because many people unconsciously merge the craving with identity itself, thinking, oh, I need this, or I can't tolerate this feeling, or I have to act now. But with these techniques, teaches people to create psychological distance. Instead of saying, I need this, the person learned to say, I am experiencing an urge. And neurologically, that changes something very important. The person stops being fully fused with the impulse. So let's see how can we tackle this issue of modern life with using two songs that act as a reminder of both the problem and the solution, so we can get out from those loops and compulsive behaviors. So tonight's first song, representing the emotional atmosphere before compulsive behavior, is Under Pressure by Queen and David Bowie. And this song perfectly captures what compulsive pressure feels like psychologically, right? By listening to the line, pressure pushing down on me. And that's exactly how urges feel sometimes. internal tension, a sense of restlessness, mental noise, emotional overload. And when people are overwhelmed, they often automatically reach for the app, the drink, the gambling site, the dopamine loop, the, the escape behavior. Not because they are weak, but because the nervous system desperately wants immediate relief. But this is where urge surfing becomes extremely important because therapists discover something interesting that if the person does not automatically react, then the craving eventually changes on its own. It rises, then peaks, and then slowly declines like a wave. And most people never realize this because they interrupt the wave too early with the compulsive behavior itself. That is not easy to remove. That's why we are using these tricks. So imagine somebody compulsively checks crypto charts, messages, social media, or online betting. The urge appears, and immediately the brain says, "Do it now." But this technique of urge surfing teaches to wait, not saying you are evil or you are weak or never again forever. Or just wait. Simply wait. Observe. Notice what the body is doing. Noticing chest tension, uh, noticing restlessness, heat, anxiety, this sense of mental urgency. And what begins happening is that the person slowly retrains the brain to understand that the urge can exist without the behavior. And that is a huge rewiring process psychologically. So another powerful tool is identifying the loop itself. What happened before the urge? Was it the stress that caused this mechanism? Was loneliness? Was boredom? Was rejection? Was nighttime isolation? Financial anxiety? Because compulsive behaviors are usually solving something emotionally, even if they do it destructively and in a bad manner, but it's a biological mechanism. So this mechanism regulates stress, emptiness, stimulation, pain, loneliness, or emotional avoidance, or whatever. So now in the second song representing the response to compulsive pressure, it would be I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty. And this song feels almost made for urge surfing psychologically. Because listen to this line that says, "You can stand me up at the gates of hell, but I won't back down." And that is the emotional stance that this technique tries to build. Not panic or shame, and not even self-hatred, but to gain calm resistance, to regain the ability to say, yes, this urge exists, and yes, this feels really uncomfortable, but I do not automatically have to obey it. And there is another line in the song that says, "Hey baby, there ain't no easy way out." And that's psychologically true as well. Real rewiring usually does not feel instantly pleasurable or blissful. It involves tolerating discomfort, interrupting automatic loops, and slowly rebuilding emotional regulation. So, modern addiction therapy increasingly recognizes something very important. Shame usually makes compulsions worse because after people relapse, many fall into self hatred, hopelessness, or emotional collapse, which then triggers the next compulsive cycle. So, these techniques approaches increasingly focus on getting getting or gaining awareness in pattern interruption, self-observation, and gradual rewiring. Not not screaming at people, just stop, but to gain this self-awareness and self-power over ourselves, over the person. So tonight's practical tool is very simple. Is delay the behavior. When the urge appears, wait 10 minutes first by consciously distracting yourself with another action. That alone already weakens automaticity. And during those 10 minutes or so, then observe your body, observe the thoughts, observe the pressure wave, because the brain slowly learns that the craving is temporary. And that realization changes people more than they expect. So tonight, remember the two songs. First, Under Pressure by Queen, that represents the craving wave, the emotional overload, the impulsive tension. And then remember I Won't Back Down by Tom Petty, that represents this urge surfing technique response, that represents the pause, the to observe, to resist automatic surrender, and allow the wave to pass by. So modern life increasingly conditions people toward compulsive immediacy of many types. Everything pushes instant gratification, instant dopamine, instant stimulation. But psychologically, human beings become stronger when they recover the ability to pause, to tolerate discomfort, and consciously choose behavior instead of automatically reacting. And maybe one of the most powerful things a person can eventually say to an urge is simply, I feel you, but I don't automatically obey you anymore. All right, everyone, I hope this segment has been helpful. Maybe if you're going through this kind of situation of know anyone struggling with tackling their own compulsive behaviors in a practical way, then you can feel free to share this segment with anyone you know that can get benefited by this information. All right, everyone, now it's time to move on to and start wrapping up the show with our editorial, but this is coming after our brief recess.